We just had the campfire chat for Diablo 4 Season 4, and they've revealed the theme for the new season, Loot Reborn. So let's talk about it. If you're new to Diablo 4 or you joined during the Game Pass, we've had 3 seasons so far. They usually come in the form of some big seasonal theme and seasonal power. So we had a season where everything was overrun by vampires and we were fighting them and getting vampire powers. The current season we're in right now is about leveling up our robot companion and running these special vaults, and they're kind of seasonal mechanics that come in for the season and then usually leave, or they might come back later in some form, but generally they're just there for the season. So what's this new season all about? Well, it kind of isn't one, and I'm still not sure how I feel about it, so let's talk about it. So rather than invest all their time into these seasonal mechanics that will come and go, they've spent a lot of time reinventing and redesigning the base game and the core functions of the game. The Codex of Power has been completely redone, item crafting and how you level up your items is completely different now. The leveling experience has changed, the end game has changed, so they've done a lot of rehauling of the entire game. So let's talk about the actual seasonal mechanics. What are we going to be doing in Season 4? So the first big feature is the Call of the Wolves. This is our seasonal mechanic. The devs have said that this will be a faction linked to the helltides, and we'll be doing things that increase our ranks with this faction. So doing different things, especially in the helltide, will increase our rank up to a max, I think, of 18. And the rewards here will include cosmetics, items that help us level up faster, a new consumable called the Profane Mind Cage. This empowers helltides, so you use it and for 1 hour with the helltides, everything becomes 10 levels higher, and it increases the drop rate of cinders, which is really good because helltides are going to be very important in this season. Helltides have been completely overhauled for Season 4. There's this new mechanic that leads to hordes of enemies, like this threat. The longer you're in there, the more stuff you defeat. This threat goes up and leads to like these big hordes. You can summon a maiden that drops big rewards. And the helltides are going to be up pretty much constantly. I think they've learned a lot from the Blood Rift kind of things we had in the vampire season. And they've tried to bring helltides up to that same experience because we really enjoyed that. It was a lot more well received than helltides at least. And they've tried to make this as good. So I think that's a really good change. But that's our seasonal mechanic, just leveling up this faction. The next interesting thing about Season 4 is they're going to add these seasonal beginner builds for every class. So as you level up and go through your seasonal journey, you'll be awarded with a bunch of affixes that go in this new and improved codex. That means that every class will be given all the aspects needed to build a build that Blizzard chooses. Now, it doesn't mean this build will be the best or the strongest or the fastest for leveling even, but it will be the easiest and the most laid back build to put together. Barbarians will be able to make the Dust Devil build, which is a new aspect they're adding. I tried this on the PTR and it is incredibly fun. Druids will get the Pulverize build, which has always been solid for leveling. Necromancers get the strong minion heavy build. Sorcerers get a new Incinerator one where they can shoot out multiple fire beams. And then Rogues get this ranged barrage build. I think this is a really good addition. It lets them show new aspects, lets them try out different builds, and they said they're going to change this each season. And it makes people able to just get a build online without much effort. It gives casual players the chance to have like a fully decked out build while leveling and not having to research anything. And it still doesn't take away the players that want to make their own. There's no uniques being given out. These aren't going to be the strongest meta endgame builds, but they'll just get you started and get you going and make that leveling experience more fun. Overall, I think it's a good thing in my opinion, as long as they don't stray too far to make these cookie cutter builds. I think it's a good thing. But I'd love to hear what you think in the comments. I think this is a good addition, but it's enough. I don't think they should take this much further to the point where they start handing out endgame stuff. But let me know what you think. But speaking of endgame, this is the next big change. I don't want to sound too excited, but I think we might finally be in a good place for endgame. 4 seasons in, but I think endgame might now be a more fun experience. The pit is a new additional thing that they're adding where you can progress through waves of enemies, just like Greater Rifts in Diablo 3. You go through a couple of maps super fast and then you fight a boss at the end and you just get this big dump of loot. There's no silly quests like Nightmare Dungeons. There's no items that drop along the way. Everything you just zerg through as fast as you can against a timer, and then you get a big reward at the end. And as you do one pit level, you go up to a higher level where the monsters are stronger and the rewards are better. I played a ton of this on the PTR and it is incredible. This is the thing I'm most looking forward to at endgame. I'm really excited for this. We'll still be doing Nightmare Dungeons, unfortunately, but glyph experience has been increased by, I believe, 25%. There's a revamp to itemization and crafting. We no longer have to spend ages going through our items. You can go to a Nightmare Dungeon, fill your inventory, and just salvage everything. And all of these upgrades will just go into your codex. Say you have a basic item in your codex that says you do 10% more damage, and you get another item that says 15%, you salvage that and the codex becomes 15%. And then whenever you want to put that aspect on something, you just open the codex and imprint it. There's no more having 500 weapons and 500 aspects in your stash just in case you need it for a different build at some point. That's a huge win, and it's going to take the fatigue out of the constant having to micromanage your inventory and micromanage your stash. On top of this, they've improved bosses. There's some new boss things coming. Boss items now drop in more places and drop at a better frequency. So taking on bosses for uber uniques will be much faster, and I think they'll be much more realistic for the average player to chase. In the old seasons, there wasn't many people running around with uber uniques, and it was for the top 1% of people that are level 100, min-maxed, and they're just grinding Duriel all day. But I think now it's going to be much easier for an average player to just go and grind out some boss materials and go and challenge a boss to get some of these uber uniques. So overall, how is Season 4 looking? I think it's a big shame that we're not getting a seasonal mechanic. I played through a ton of the PTR and I have made a video on it, and I remember saying everything here is fantastic. We're just missing the seasonal mechanic to bring it all together, and I think it's going to be amazing. So we don't have one really. Seasonal mechanics and seasonal powers add a ton of flavor to the game and give you kind of something cool to work towards. The vampire season will always be memorable to me as one of the coolest and most fun mechanics, both to do in game and for the powers that build up your character. Every build you tailor around the cool vampire abilities. So it's a shame they didn't add a real seasonal power. The Iron Wolves seem okay, they're just going to be there. They just seem like a vendor of items and feel more like a Christmas or Halloween event than a new 3-month season of stuff to be excited for. However, given credit, I would take this weaker season for the overhaul to the base game that they've made. The change to the codex and how itemization works is a game changer. If you're new to this game, one of the most tedious parts of endgame is managing your items and your aspects. This new change will make the game much more replayable. I personally play for an hour or two and just get fed up with managing the items. This will just make it much more grindable, much more just brain off and just have fun. I think it's going to be easier to try new builds, play alts, and overall just more enjoyable. On top of this, the changes to the helltides, the seasonal builds, and the pit just add more of the content people enjoy. Seasons are free content, and I think the overhaul they're doing for the game is really good. People are saying it's like the game's finally coming out of beta, and it almost feels like it in a way. Lots of these systems are what we've all wanted since Season 1. So I'm really looking forward to Season 4, but it's definitely not what we expected or what we're used to. I don't know if I'm disappointed or excited. I feel very mixed. I'm looking forward to Season 4, but I still don't know how I feel about it. It's just my opinion. I wanted to talk about it in a video. I want to know what you think in the comments. You guys play Diablo 4. What do you think? You're watching this video this far. You probably play. What do you think? Are you happy about it? Are you excited? Are you disappointed? Let me know. Yeah, that's it from me. If you're going to play Season 4, consider subscribing to the channel. I make a bunch of leveling and endgame builds, and I'll be all over it this season. So subscribe if you want to see those as they come out. But that's it from me. Take care, and I'll catch you in the next one.